Welcome back to the channel, guys. As you might have seen from the last video, me and my buddy bought a project. Well, let's just get to it. We already know there's a little bit of gremlins. We got a great deal on it, but what do we buy, Danny?
A 2014 Dodge Journey.
Yes, we know it is a project. It looks super clean. It is clean exterior-wise. It's super nice inside. Like, this thing only got like 80,000 miles on it, but we know it's got some issues. The guy we got it from, he just didn't want to deal with it anymore because it wasn't worth the time or money. Of course, you know, Danny and I were like, we'll take on this project. Hopefully we're not in over our heads. Let's dig into it. So one of the things that we knew when we got the car is it had a dead battery. We went ahead and replaced that already. Then for anybody who's wondering, the battery is inconveniently located behind the bumper here. You got to jack it up, pull the tire off, but it's just a little fender liner. Pop a couple clips off in there, pull the liner out, and the battery's right. It is actually pretty accessible. That's what we're started for first, and we're about to plug in the computer and see what kind of issues we got. So we got the computer plugged in. Let's see what kind of problems we got, Danny.
So passenger vehicle, we're gonna go to Dodge. We're gonna do it that. Scan vehicle, OBD2. 2014 Dodge Journey, we're gonna auto scan, and that's gonna take a second. So when it's done, we're gonna see how many fault codes we already got.
Man, we already got 7.
We already got 7 failed units.
Oh, more.
Oh my gosh. What do we get into?
But so far we got 4 different things that have popped up, and they're all different. We got powertrain control module, body controller, instrument panel cluster, tire pressure monitoring, hands-free module. Oh, that one passed.
HVAC passed. Has good AC.
Well, maybe. It hasn't run yet, so we don't know what works and what doesn't. We bought this in a non-running condition. Oh man, couple more failures.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Radio frequency hub, fail. Steering column module, failed.
All right.
Yeah.
So all those fails, and we're just gonna click on this first one for PCM, and we're gonna read the fault code.
Oh dear Lord. Okay, so that's individual faults within. So Danny, can you go back? We get a rough number. Oh my.
17, 20, 24, 25, or sorry, 29, 31, 32.
Yeah, we're
codes.
We.
I don't know if we bought the right card, but yeah, we're gonna try to fix every little one of these things. If not, maybe we'll just give it to the junkyard and cut our losses.
Yeah, I think, guys, we might have bought an electrical nightmare. Oh man. All right, guys, so we're not gonna go through all these faults because we don't know when they acquired, but we're gonna go ahead and just clear everything out and then start from there and see what comes back, and then that will give us hopefully a better idea of what major issues we should start with of why it won't start.
Yeah.
And I should say, I should be a little more clear. It's not that it won't start, it won't crank at all. So when you push the start button, it just doesn't do anything. We got to figure that out first before we even figure out if this thing runs. Don't know. We're starting from scratch, literally.
Yeah, so we already got rid of a few codes so far. That passed. Now we're this one, radio frequency. We're just gonna clear it out.
See, now they are passing. So these could have been old faults, or if somebody was tinkering it before and maybe unplugged something with the battery connected, it could have created some unnecessary false faults. So we're gonna clear all these out and we'll get back to you. All right, guys, so we went through the computer, erased all the codes, rescanned it, did that a couple of times. The one thing that we did see that was a common issue is CAN messaging, which we did a little research while we're off camera and kind of narrowed down to 4 things. You can start, stop, and go through all the accessory runs, but when you apply the brake and push the button, the car just doesn't do anything. It could be the switch. That's our first thought. Second thought could be the brake switch, but based on the wiring, there are a couple of outputs from the brake switch. It's a 3-wire sensor. It might not be sending the signal to everywhere, letting the car know that the brake is applied in order to start. From there, the brake switch sends the signal to the WIM, wireless ignition module, which is the module that recognizes the keys are in the car, and it recognizes that the start switch is pressed, the brake switch is depressed, and things like that. Then it sends a CAN message to the fuse box, which is called the TIPM, totally integrated power module, that will send and trigger relays like the starter and things like that to start the car. There's an issue somewhere along those lines. We're gonna do a little more research, start pulling some panels off, checking fuses and relays and things like that, and see if we can hopefully find something simple and easy to fix.
Yep. Start with the basics and then go from there. I don't know. I don't really know much about these cars, so I mean, we're kind of winging it.
I do drive a Dodge, but they're all made differently, and mine's a little bit newer than this one, but it probably has a lot of common similarities. So if we need to, maybe we can steal some parts out of my truck temporarily. So as you can see, the sun's significantly going down. Me and Danny have been trying to diagnose this thing for a freaking hot minute. We've checked the brake sensor. We think that's bad, but it's not. We don't think it's enough to cause the no crank issue. We checked the relays and the starter, like it does crank, it just won't start because some other things are going wrong. We called in the superpower over here. My buddy who works at Ford, and he has this, you know, multi-million-dollar snap-on scan tool to hopefully give us a little bit better idea than our scan tool was giving us to maybe point us in the right direction. Fingers crossed, but we still have no idea what's wrong with it. Guys, we're back. It's been, what, 2 days?
Yeah.
So our buddy Sam came over, as you've seen. He hooked up the Snap-on Gazillion Master 6000. After a lot of diagnosing communication issues via the CAN bus, this is where we're at. We got the car ripped apart, and the reason is because all roads led to this, which is the ABS module. Computer's not communicating with this, so we're gonna start with this, and hopefully it fixes most of our problems, but we won't know until we fix it. So Danny and I are gonna head to the junkyard and go from there. We're at the junkyard. We're pick your part, not the name drop, but that's where we're at here in Tampa. And we are trying to find the proper ABS module. So far we've looked at 2, which would VIN verify correct that it's the right part number. And it seems to be a common problem because they're both gone already. Well, at least it's not hot out today, right, Danny?
Yeah, it's a nice day. Not too hot.
As we were on our way to row somewhere over there, we came across another journey. Oh, hey, look at this. This one's got an ABS module in it too. Not sure if it's the one we need. Hey, it's got the cover on it. Hey, look at that. Fuses and relays galore. We should probably grab a couple spares just in case we need them. We'll grab one of those. That one's for the ignition control. That one on your right hand is the starter relay.
Grab these 2 as well. Radiator fans.
Good parts car. We're also a little bit on a side quest. Greg asked us to find if there's any CRVs here because he needs a body plug to snip out to use for a pigtail. We're gonna keep our eyes peeled because I think there's one near the journey we're going to look for.
C101 plug. It should be around here.
C101?
Yeah.
No idea what that means.
Yeah, it's 84 space
84
6.
space 6. So we passed it. Back the other way.
Do you need that green plug for the body harness or whatever?
I need the female and male version of it.
Yeah, we got both sides of the plug right here.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, we gotta go find that Dodge Journey. I think it was like, what, row 84? This one right here.
This one. And
It is.
nice, it is here. And
Yes.
this does verify VIN-wise that that is the correct ABS part number module. So let's get to ripping this thing out. All right, guys. Nice. Didn't even have to take its strut bar off. But if you do have the V6 model, there's a lot less clearance here, and you have to remove the cowl, the wipers, and the strut bar, which is pretty easy, and that gives you room to pull it right off the top. But the 4-cylinder has way more room, so we got what we came for. Let's go get cleaned up and head back to the house. We got the ABS module installed, all tidied up back there. Brake lines are all hooked up and tight. We still have to bleed the system, but we're not going to put all the cowling back in because we want to make sure that this is our actual problem in case we got to rip other things apart. Sam is inside clearing and recalibrating the ABS module. How's that thing going? All right, so the ABS is all recaled, and now we're going to check to see what remaining codes we may or may not have. Hopefully none, but I'm sure there'll be something because Nothing's ever that easy. So she's doing a code scan. So far, everything is looking good. Nothing has popped up, but it's still finalizing. No codes. All right, let's see if she starts. Oh, right away. That's what I'm talking about. Check it out. All because of a stupid ABS module. Look at that. That Dodge power. That's awesome. I'm glad she starts. We're gonna pull her in the shop. We'll get the brakes bled, and then we'll take her for a little test drive and see if any other codes pop up or there's any other issues with this. But I'll be amazed if that was literally the only thing wrong with it, because it is a Dodge and there's probably something else wrong with it, but we just haven't figured it out yet. Let's get to the brakes first. All right, she's in the shop. Let's get these brakes bled. We got the brakes bled, nothing fancy about it. We did it with the vacuum bleeder first to suck out most of the air and things like that. And then we hook up the computer to modulate the ABS system, which is the second round of bleeding. And then we did it the old fashioned way where somebody pumps the pedal and somebody cracks the bleeder. But now it has nice firm brakes and there's nothing left to do but toss the wheels back on, get it off the lift and take it for a test drive. All right, so we didn't actually take it for a test drive yet because I wanted to make sure my boy Danny was here for the maiden voyage and all that good stuff. We're reasonably confident that the ABS module is a good start to fixing most of our problems, if not all of them. We just got to put some miles on it, don't we?
Yeah, she's all put back together. We just need to start her up and take her on her first spin.
Oh, fire's right up. That's what I'm talking about. I'll say, this is the first time you've heard it start, isn't it?
Yeah. No
What'd you think?
lights, nothing besides me putting on my seatbelt, but absolutely no lights on the dash.
We had a Christmas tree of lights earlier, so
Yeah, we had every single light known to man on here.
I'm
Hop
happy
in.
already. Let's do this.
Hop in.
Hey, she sounds smooth.
Wow. Everything seems to be working in working order. We even have a full tank.
Shoo!
Shoot.
How often do you buy a car with a full tank of gas?
Almost never.
Dude, so far, she's running and driving great. No lights have popped up yet. Transmission's shifting smooth. Engine's running great.
Brakes are braking.
What do you think so far, Danny?
I might have to keep this as a daily. I don't know if I'm not ready to.
Yeah, this might be too good to get rid of.
I know. I mean, it takes the 85 too with all these gas prices right now.
Right? Well, so far, we're putting a little miles on and driving around the block a couple of times, and we decided, hey, she needs a car wash. We stopped by the old Touch and Go.
Imagine.
I actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I haven't been in one of these car washes since I worked at one when I was like 18 years old, which is 20 years ago.
Yeah, I probably haven't been in one since 2016.
Oh man. It's kind of scary. All right, Danny's gonna give her a real rip.
Got a little chirp, traction control.
Little torque steer. She's front wheel drive. Dang, she pulls good.
She's doing what she's supposed to do. Being a car and driving. I mean, for a daily, there's not much more you can ask for.
This is one of those, was it a good buy or a bad buy? I think this was a great buy for what we got it for well, we spent a lot of time diagnosing and things like that, but as far as the amount of money we stuck into it, it wasn't a whole lot.
I think it was worth every penny.
We'll get back to the shop and check over everything one more time. We'll give you a rundown of exactly what we did, what fixed, what didn't, and all that good jazz. All right, guys, we took her for a rip. She runs phenomenally. Still no check engine lights, which is awesome as of yet. We're still gonna put some more miles on it off camera and things like that. Danny, what do you think?
For right around $1,500,
yeah,
you can't really beat it.
Yeah, so let's break it down for these guys. We paid $1,250 for the car. Then we had to get a dolly to get it back to the house, so that was 50 bucks, I think.
Yeah, 40.
We need a new battery.
Another 40.
Another 40 bucks. The ABS module we got out of the junkyard for 100 bucks. And then we gave our buddy Sam a little bit of labor money for his time and expertise, so that was 100 bucks. So we're what?
1,500.
Little over 1,500 bucks into this, and so far, she seems to run and drive great. I'd say, as far as Project Journey goes, I think that was a win.
I think that was a win.
I think it was awesome.
I mean, $1,500 for a running and driving low mile newer car.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer.
It has less than 90,000 miles on this car. As you can see, we just took her through the car wash. She's clean. She looks great. I think it was a win. All around, it was a win.
Yeah, it was worth our time. It wasn't a crazy issue to where, you know, we didn't have to spend countless dollars on it. So I think it was a win.
We spent a little time, but you know, it's our own labor. So I guess if you had to take it somewhere, you probably would have spent $2,000 to $3,000. I think the module alone, if you can even get it new from Dodge, is around $1,000 plus the labor to diagnose and figure out everything that we went through. And I think for a lot of people, it might not be worth the time and or the money to do it. But overall, I think it was a success and it's a great car. Now we just got to figure out what are we going to do with it. I think all in all, it was a win. As always, thanks for tuning in and we'll see you in the next one. That's a wrap.